Vis-a-vis last night's discussion at dinner about you looking like me when you're 80, which I know is not going to happen, but Sally did a quick calculation, and I've spent about $500,000 on pills, just like this. She says it's probably more, but that's just pills. That's not any of the surgeries I've had or stem cells or anything. So a rough guess, easily over $1 million. Probably because I've tried everything. The only thing I tried, and this was 35 years ago, I tried the cold plunge. I think I might have mentioned this to somebody at dinner last night, and I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I couldn't stand 3 minutes, whatever the minimum bullshit was. Fuck. But then I realized my lock is the same temperature. So when I did this at spas or whatever, then I started going in the lock, and I got bit by a pike, which is an ugly fish, and so that ended my experience in the lock. But the kids used to go in the lock all the time, and the pike never bit them. I don't know, but I was thinking about it. So they have commercials now online. Not commercials; it's the wrong word. Feeds, right? You get shit on the feed that says you can retire on $250,000 a year. I mean, a lump sum of $250, meaning that somehow that $250 is generating money to live on. And then they've got another one that says $500,000. I don't believe either one of those, unless there's some super annuated investment vehicle I don't know about that creates massive income off a small amount of principal. But it's clear, the closer, since I'm in my 70s the last 9 years, that people in their 70s, even in their 60s, and even in their 50s, are concerned about retirement income, which I didn't ever think of until I was about 78, 77. At 60, and you've heard me say this countless times, Sally and I decided to downsize. And so we got rid of our estates, etc. A couple of them I wish I had kept, a couple of the penthouses, not just because they're worth 15, 20, 25 million now, but I wish I would have kept them. When I have to wait in line at a hotel or some bullshit, I wish that I had the penthouse anymore. But we downsized, and not because we were concerned about retirement, which is, normally when you turn about 60, I guess, but because we had a lot of shit, and we hardly got to the various houses. And but you're the succession plan, not just for yourself. And we're going to talk more about that this time, okay? And then in the regular seminar. But you're the succession plan for the morons that you're doing this deal with. And the one thing that's consistent with the people that are successful, and when we're not on camera, I'm going to go by each one of you. I'm going to say, okay, meathead, what have you tried? What failed? What worked? What didn't work? Okay, but not on camera. Is that, just as I told you, when you're approaching the banks to warm them up, you're talking about not seller's finance, seller's equity. 1 in 10 of you did that. And guess what? You didn't get the deal done. Now, I'm not going to have Kat and EJ and Kim and whoever else and our in-house lawyer and our Filipino crew go back and count in the seminar how many times I say seller's equity. But I know I say it dozens of times during the regular seminar. And yet the feedback and the data we have is 1 in 10 of you use it. Or you remember you use it not the first time you meet with the banks. You remember to do it the second, third, and fourth time, and then it's too late. Because they've already written down seller's fucking finance instead of seller's fucking equity. And you're dead. I'm pulling up Jason Nagy's stuff and a couple other Australians for our friend here, which I know what I say, and I know what I've said, and I know what you've done, and I know what the people that are successful in Australia do. You have, and most of you are too young, but maybe one of you that's old enough to be in the first stages of early onset dementia, but most of you are too young for that, okay? But there's maybe one of you, one of the old git. But remember I say, those who get laser beam focused first, stay laser beam focused longest, win most, right? But I also say those who may take copious notes do best. Right? There's maybe one of you in this room that took copious notes during the regular seminar. And that was brought to light to me by the Viking bitch, God love her. When I had my knighthood ball in New York, I had a table and we had 10 people, 8 guests. And so the Viking bitch 1 and 2 were 2 of my guests. And I had forgotten that the Viking bitch 2 is taller than the Viking bitch 1. The Viking bitch 2 wears, I don't even know if those are heels. And the Viking bitch 2 wears a little longer, and Sally wears them like this. And we look like midgets standing next to the girls. But it brought to light because she did a webinar for us in recent months that she said that I went back to look at my notes. She made 3 or 4, actually, she made 40, 50 mistakes, but 3 or 4 of them that were obvious. She said, I went back and looked at my notes and I didn't write it down. I remember Dan saying it, but I didn't write it down. You've heard me say the brightest in the room after the initial seminar, the first seminar, retains about 40%. The brightest in the room, with notes. The rest of you retain between 10 and 20%. 10 and 20. And I contend, which I have no data to prove it, that you don't write things down that you know you're never going to do. That's what I believe with all my heart, because I've been doing this over 30 years now. You know, intellectually, emotionally, whatever kind of fucking way you want to measure, I'm never going to do that, so your hand just stops writing. Now, you're not going to blow your significant other out, Lord ass that she is or he is. That ain't going to happen. Although we have a lot of data, one of our successful couples just blew up. Not that I was happy, but I kind of giggled about it because they had made already acquisitions. And it blew up. I said, that keeps us over 70%. God damn. I know in my heart I said that. I didn't say it outside, you know. You don't write down the things you know you're never going to do. And when we get off camera, in which I started with the last seminar, the regular seminar, is something I used to do in the 90s, which I went back and I don't know why I stopped doing it, you know. Why stop something that works? Okay? I certainly wasn't satiated with the success, although I might have been. What do you know? And we're going to discuss in detail. What do you know which you can't do up front? What do you know? And almost everybody's the same thing, but we'll talk about it. What do you already know based on 35 years, 400 years of life, 45, 50, what do you already know? Another way of putting it, why are you a cunt? What makes you a cunt? Since you were a 3-year-old, cried for mommy or daddy. I cried for mommy. I was a mama's boy until I was about 12. Or the next door neighbor used to slap the shit out of you and you didn't fight back, or whatever it was. What makes you a cunt? So the Viking bitch, who's been successful, and the who they were, the men at the ball, dirty old men mostly, rich, dirty, old Catholic men. Because I don't think there was, it's a Catholic deal. So, I mean, they're all perverts, chasing her out to the cab. Now, Sally and I left. I find out this all after the fact. Because in addition to her being a gigantic, like a superwoman, she got 60s. Fucking 60s if they're an inch. Nothing like a dirty, well, I'm saying Catholic because they're all Catholic. Nothing like a dirty old Catholic man. And one of the guys who was presiding over the deal, we got a death notice 2 days ago. Remember, you sent it to me from, one of the old farts that was up there presiding over him is dead now. He's 86. He's a former federal appointed judge. And he's gone to his maker. Well, there's a lot of guys that look like that. Life is short. Now, any questions before we get going? I said this when he said it, so that maybe 3 or 4 seminars ago. And I said, this is changing the world. Nobody listened. Nobody listened. So far out of your fucking comfort zone, you can't believe it. Now look at this, you fucking morons. And you're not going to listen this time either. Because for those of you that don't live in America, it's not going to affect us. That's how fucking stupid you are. When he said that on CNBC, I think it was, he told that little skinny guy, nice guy, who's been on there forever, who went to Cornell. Well, I'm jealous about the fact that he went to Ivy League school. I knew as soon as the words came out of his fucking mouth, the world was different. He validated 51 years of me saying, fuck, cunt, shit. And you're too stupid to understand it. And you wouldn't say shit if it was in your fucking mouth. And how's your program worked out for you? It hasn't, has it? You still don't understand. We're going back to Mad Max. And nobody in this room except me is going to survive. Elon Musk will be known as the Michelangelo of the modern era, not the richest man on earth. I said that a while back. Nobody listened. You still can't believe it. That's how not in sync you are with reality. He is the fucking future, morons. San the fucking hairdo. Look at all the shit he gets away with. Carrying his baby on his back. And all that. I couldn't stand to get close to my kids. But anyway, that's a whole other story. And look at you. Got 8 or 9 or 11 sons. One who's a girl, thinks he's he's a girl, whatever. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. You don't know how many wives he has? And look at you. Rolling over on the same fat ass the last 2 weeks, 2 months, 22 years. And what's it got you? Not a fucking thing. The world has changed. Am I the only, you asked me last night, where is it in the newspaper? The fact that you have to ask it shows you how stupid you are. You think I'm making this shit up? You know that.
The man slapped the lion's paw and scolded it for damaging the car mat. The lion wanted to resist, but was afraid of the man's sandal, as it had been disciplined by it since it was young. Biting the man's hand resulted in a sandal beating, and making noise to interrupt the man would also get the sandal treatment. When a group of lions were fighting, they became alert as the man approached. As soon as he took off his sandal, the lions scattered in fear. Any misbehaving lion would be disciplined with the sandal. The lions were very respectful of the man, especially when he held the sandal. This respect wasn't only due to his physical threats. This was a dilapidated zoo.
Now, we are never going to be rid of fossil fuel. I'm going to go backwards. In your lifetimes, never. We will never have enough electric switches to fuel or power our cars in the United States or anybody in 1,000 fucking years. Never. It's not going to happen. Yet you and the world believe it will. Because you're just as fucking stupid as when I saw Elon Musk say, go fuck yourself. He changed the world. The world still doesn't understand. And that's our benefit. But nobody in this room is taking advantage of it. Nobody listening. Or I won't say nobody, almost nobody. Going back to the lions, that's how I was raised. That's how the Williams sister was raised. That's how Tiger Woods was raised. A smack in the fucking head. And look at how you were raised. And what good has it done? None. And most of you that have children, they're past the age of helping. This is our time. I didn't think it would get any fucking better. I was wrong. And for those of you that think I was wrong about Bitcoin, we'll talk about that later in the seminar. This is our fucking time. In the United States, we're never going to get rid of the national debt unless, and we're going to talk about the 3 ways we can do it, and what I've already said. It's impossible. It's impossible. And this is just one country, the United States. And at the same time, we are increasing administrative staff, principals, teachers, to teach them the wrong subject matter. We are so fucked in this planet. Your great-great-grandchildren will be fighting the battle of the Mad Max. And the way you've been taught and the way you're teaching them, they don't have a chance. Okay.